We're gonna show how to make an emulsion sauce. It's a warm emulsion called Beurre Blanc. We're gonna start with 8 ounces of white wine. Dry white wine is fine. I wouldn't use a Sauvignon Blanc unless that's you're looking for a grassy flavor like that. Just Chardonnay will work fine. Gonna add 4 ounces of white wine vinegar. We're gonna add 1 ounce of chopped shallots. Just to start with the reduction, I'm gonna add a pinch of salt. And we're gonna put this mixture on the heat, bring it up to a boil, and then down to a simmer until it reduces to a point that it's dry but not completely dry. It's called au sec, and we'll show you in a moment. So right now we're waiting for the reduction to come up to a boil. After it comes up to a boil, we're gonna reduce it to a simmer until it slowly reduces. Okay, so right now our mixture has reached the boiling point. We're gonna lower the heat so it reaches a simmering point. You always wanna control your reduction to simmering point, and we're gonna reduce it until everything is almost dry. At this time, our reduction is almost dry, what in French is called au sec, almost dry. So you will lower your heat to the minimum. And now we proceed to add 1 pound of melted butter cut in chunks. Make sure your butter is really cold so it can create a nice emulsion while it melts. So what I like to start with a couple of chunks of butter. And we're gonna keep adding the butter as the other butter is melting. So this sauce is a combination of a warm emulsion created by the cold butter and the reduction that sits at the bottom of the pan. It is very important to keep stirring as your butter melts so you can create a nice emulsion. And please make sure you don't overheat the sauce. If the sauce becomes overheated, the butter starts separating and it's not a sauce anymore. So continue adding the butter. As you see the butter incorporate into the sauce, just add the next amount of butter. I usually add 2-3 chunks at a time. And very important, make sure your butter is cold. Now your sauce is ready. All the butter has been blended in. And we proceed to taste the sauce to make sure we have a nice balance of salt. At this point, you can choose to add pepper. Always take your sauces before you do anything else with them. Good pinch of salt would be fine. I like my Beurre Blanc with a little bit of black pepper. If you don't want the black pepper to show, then I suggest you use white pepper. The sauce has to be warm, but not cold. At this point, you might choose to strain your sauce to a chinois or a fine strainer. I like to leave mine with the shallots in there. I think it gives them a nice sense of crunchiness, a nice texture. And that is the texture of your Beurre Blanc. Once the sauce is finished, it should be velvety. It should have a nappé consistency, which means that it will coat the back of the spoon easily. And that is your beurre blanc, ready to put on fish, one of my favorite sauces to have with fish.